Dracula stood in the training arena prep area with his Digi-grade legs positioned in a wide, confident stance. His dark crimson scales shimmered under the bright white overhead lighting as he gestured with both arms towards Zephyra. The avian cadet perched on a nearby bench with her blue-silver feathers smooth and her curved raptor beak slightly open. "I'm telling you, the humans are absurdly fragile," Dracula said. His tail swayed behind him as he spoke. Their bones snap under minimal pressure. Their skin tears if you breathe on it wrong. They have no natural armor and no redundant organs. One solid strike and they collapse. Zephyra's golden eyes tracked his movements with that unnerving side-to-side head tilt common to avian species. Her feathered crest perked slightly. "You have sparred with one before?" "I do not need to," Draco replied. He turned and gestured more dramatically with his right arm. "I have studied their physiology. Single heart, calcium-based skeletal structure, thin skin. They are objectively the weakest species in the Academy." His tail swung wide as he emphasized his point and collided with an equipment locker. The metal door clanged open and a training pad tumbled out onto the floor. Zephyra's beak clicked 3 times in rapid succession. The sound echoed in the prep room, her crest raised higher. "What is amusing?" Draco bent to pick up the fallen pad with one hand while steadying himself on his digitigrade legs. "Nothing." Zephyra's beak clicked again. Her feathers ruffled slightly. "Continue your expert analysis." Drake's ear straightened to his full height and his scales brightened to an even more vibrant crimson. "They are too fragile for real combat. I do not understand why the Academy accepts them. One proper strike and you would send them to medical for a cycle, maybe longer." He placed the pad back in the locker and closed the door. "The instructors must handle them with absurd caution during training." "Is that so?" The new voice came from the doorway. Drakir turned his elongated snout toward the entrance. A human female stood there with her arms crossed. She wore the standard dark gray training suit that showed her athletic build. Her black hair was pulled back in a tight, practical braid. Her dark brown eyes met his gaze without any visible reaction to his size advantage. Drakir's heat vision registered her body temperature as standard for humans. Unremarkable. His scales maintained their confident crimson shimmer. "I was simply discussing physiological facts." "I heard." The human walked into the room with efficient movement, no wasted motion. She stopped near the stretching mats and began rolling her shoulders in a warm-up routine. "You were saying we shatter easily." "Well?" Draker shifted his weight on his digitigrade legs. His tail twitched once. "The data supports it. Human bone density is significantly lower than Varkeshi standards. Your skeletal structure lacks protective plating. These are objective measurements." The human bent forward and touched her toes in a stretch. "What is your name?" "Drakir of the Varkeshi." He stood taller, his spine ridge straightened, ranked 3rd in close combat among cadets. "I am Vexa." She straightened from her stretch. Her expression remained neutral, almost bored. "Unranked." Zephyra's crest shot straight up. Her beak opened and closed twice without sound. The door on the opposite side of the prep area opened and Verdrin entered. The Sylphan instructor moved with the slow, deliberate grace of plant-based species. His bark-textured skin showed the deep brown patterns of old growth. Golden sap flowed in visible veins beneath his surface with a steady, calm glow. His solid green eyes swept across the 3 cadets. The vine hair on his scalp swayed slightly despite the still air. "Draker, Vexa." Verdrin's voice had that resonant quality common to his species. "Like wind through leaves. You are both scheduled for sparring evaluation today." "Yes, instructor." Drakia's scales shimmered. This was excellent timing. He could demonstrate proper technique against a willing opponent. Show the human how real warriors trained. He would be careful, of course. Gentle even. No need to actually injure her. Convenient that you are both here. Verdrin's sap veins pulsed once. "You will spar against each other. Report to the main floor in 5 minutes." Drakia's tail went completely still. "Instructor, I do not think that is appropriate. The strength differential is too extreme. I would not want to injure." 5 minutes. Verdrin turned and walked back toward the main arena floor. His vine hair settled against his bark-textured neck. The door closed behind him with a soft hiss. Sapphira's beak clicked rapidly. Her whole body shook slightly. Her feathers ruffled and smoothed in quick succession. "Something funny?" Drakir asked. His scales rippled slightly between crimson and orange. "Not at all." Sapphira's crest tilted sideways. Her golden eyes focused forward with that predator intensity. "I simply look forward to the educational value of this match." Vexa finished her stretching routine. She wrapped her hands with the practice tape from a nearby supply bin. Her movements were methodical and precise. She showed no concern about the upcoming match, no nervous energy. She simply prepared. Drakir watched her wrap her hands and felt his confidence return. His scales settled back to pure crimson. Look at her, so small, so calm. She had no idea what she was facing. He would demonstrate the gap between species capabilities. Gently, professionally, she would learn and improve. That was the purpose of training after all. "I will be careful," he said. His tone was magnanimous. "I have excellent control. You will not be injured." Vexa looked up at him, one eyebrow raised slightly. "Appreciated." She walked past him toward the main arena. Her shoulder passed within inches of his leg. She did not look back. Sapphira hopped down from her bench with a flutter of wing feathers. Her taloned feet clicked on the floor. She moved toward the observation gallery door. "I would not miss this." "You support me?" Drakir asked. Sapphira's beak clicked once. "I support education." She disappeared through the gallery entrance. Drakir followed the path to the main arena floor. The space opened before him in a vast expanse of padded gray impact, absorption panels. Bright white-blue lights flooded down from overhead. Red boundary lights marked the combat zone perimeter. The walls showed their reinforced padding. Above him, the observation gallery windows reflected the arena lights. Vexa stood in the center of the combat zone. She rolled her neck once. Her wrapped hands hung relaxed to the sides. Her stance was balanced but not rigid. Verdran stood at the edge of the boundary. His sap veins glowed their steady golden color. Standard sparring rules. Contact permitted. Match ends on surrender, incapacitation, or instructor intervention. Begin when ready. Drakir stepped into the combat zone. His digitigrade legs carried him with the natural spring-loaded power of his species. He had reach advantage, height advantage, weight advantage. His scales were natural armor. His tail provided balance that bipedal species lacked. This would be brief. He settled into a combat stance. Weight distributed properly across his digitigrade feet. Tail extended for balance. Arms ready. His heat vision picked up Vexa's body temperature signature clearly against the cooler arena. He could track her movement before she made it. "Ready?" Verdran asked. "Yes, instructor," Drakir said. "Ready," Vexa said. Her voice was level. "Begin." Drakir launched forward with a powerful push from his digitree-grade legs. The spring-loaded acceleration was one of the primary advantages of his stance. He covered the distance in 2 massive strides, with both arms extending for a standard grapple setup. His heat vision tracked Vexa's position. She was not moving. Too slow to react. He would catch her easily and... Vexa stepped left. One simple, efficient movement. She was suddenly not in his path. Drakir's momentum carried him forward. His arms closed on empty air. His digigrade legs tried to adjust, but his upper body weight was already committed. He pitched forward. His snout hit the padded mat first. His arms shot out to catch himself. His tail flailed behind him for balance it could not find. He crashed face down with his legs tangling beneath him. The impact knocked the air from his lungs. His scales flashed orange with surprise. He pushed himself up with both arms and shook his head. What happened? She was right there. His heat vision had shown her position clearly. He looked up. Vexa stood exactly where she had been before his charge, her stance unchanged, her expression neutral. "You rushed," she said. Drakir's scales rippled between orange and crimson. He rose to his digitigrade feet and adjusted his stance. His tail swept the mat once in agitation. "I was testing your reaction time." "How did I do?" His scales darkened slightly. He circled right. This time he would be more controlled, more precise. He feinted with his left arm and stepped in with his right. A standard setup. His digitigrade legs provided the quick direction change. His tail balanced the motion. His right arm shot forward for her shoulder. Vexa leaned back. His hand passed through the space where her shoulder had been a fraction of a second earlier. She pivoted on her left foot. Her right leg swept low. It caught his lead digitigrade leg mid-stride. His leg buckled. His balance vanished. His tail swung hard to compensate, but he was already falling. He crashed onto his side. The mat absorbed most of the impact, but his scales flashed orange again. He rolled and pushed himself up immediately. Vexa had already stepped back, her stance reset, her breathing unchanged. Drakia's scales began to ripple uncertainly. The crimson flickered with orange patches. How? His attacks were textbook. His form was correct. His digitigrade stance gave him speed. She should not be able to avoid them so easily. He approached more carefully this time. He kept his weight balanced. His tail swept slowly for equilibrium. He watched her stance for tells. Her feet were positioned naturally, her weight distribution even. Nothing indicated which direction she would move. He struck with his left arm, a quick jab to test her guard. She slipped it. He followed with his right, a hook toward her ribs. She ducked under it. He spun and his tail whipped toward her legs in a sweep. She jumped. Her feet left the mat for barely a second. She landed light and stepped back. His tail completed its arc and hit nothing but air. The momentum spun him slightly off balance. He adjusted with both arms extended for stability. Vexa moved. 3 quick steps forward. She ducked under his extended right arm. Her shoulder dropped low. Her left leg swept behind his digitigrade ankle. She pushed forward. Draker's digitigrade stance betrayed him. The swept ankle had nowhere to go. His balance collapsed backward. His tail shot up reflexively. His arms windmilled. He crashed flat on his back. The air exploded from his lungs. His scales flashed bright orange. He stared up at the white-blue lights. His chest heaved as he gasped for air. What just happened? She was supposed to be fragile, weak, unable to handle real combat. Point to Vexa. Vedran's voice came from the boundary. His sap veins pulsed once. Drakia rolled onto his stomach and pushed himself up with both arms. His digitigrade legs felt unsteady beneath him. His scales continued rippling between orange and darker confused patterns. His tail twitched erratically. He looked at Vexa. She stood in her ready position. Her expression had not changed. Still calm, still focused. Her breathing was barely elevated. His scales flushed darker, crimson mixing with near black patches. This was not acceptable. He was Varkashi. He was ranked. He had every physical advantage. She should not be able to do this. He charged again, this time with real aggression. No more gentle testing. His digitigrade legs launched him forward with full power. His arms reached for her. His tail extended for maximum balance. His jaws opened, and he released a sharp hiss. Vexa did not retreat. She stepped forward into his charge, inside his reach, too close for his arms to grab effectively. Her left hand caught his right wrist. Her body turned. She used his momentum against him. His own speed betrayed him. She pivoted and pulled. His arm extended. His balance shifted. His digitigrade legs tried to stop, but his upper body was already rotating. He spun completely around. His tail whipped through empty air. His feet tangled. He crashed into the padded wall with his shoulder. The padding absorbed the impact, but the force still rattled through his body. His scales flashed orange, then rippled into confused patterns of orange and pale yellow. He bounced off the wall and staggered. His digitigrade stance wavered. His tail dragged on the mat. He turned to face her again. Vexa stood in the center of the combat zone, waiting. Her dark brown eyes tracked him with that same predator focus. Her stance ready, her hands raised in guard position. Drakia's scales continued their confused color shifting, crimson to orange to yellow and back. His tail twitched without conscious input. His breathing came harder than it should. She had not landed a single strike yet. She had simply avoided, redirected, used his own attacks against him. Draker. Vedran's voice carried that instructor tone. Assess your approach. His scales flushed darker. Embarrassment mixed with frustration. He was being lectured in front of witnesses because a human was making him look incompetent. He advanced again. More controlled this time. He would not give her his momentum to use. He would corner her, trap her, force her to engage on his terms. His digitigrade legs carried him forward in careful steps. His arms stayed ready. His tail balanced each movement. Vexa matched his movement. She angled left. He adjusted. She angled right. He cut off the path. She was running out of space. The boundary approached behind her. Soon she would have nowhere to go. He struck. A quick combination. Left jab, right cross. He kept his balance tight. His digitigrade stance firm. She slipped the jab, ducked the cross. But now she was at the boundary. Trapped. He pressed forward, both arms extended for a grapple. If he could get his hands on her, it was over. Vakashi's strength would end the match. She could not redirect what she could not move. She did not retreat into the boundary. She stepped forward, directly toward him. Inside his reaching arms again. Her shoulder dropped. Her whole body compressed. She drove upward and forward. Her elbow caught him in the ribs. Right side! Just below his arm. The impact was precise, concentrated. All her body weight and momentum focused into that single point. Two sounds echoed through the arena. Sharp cracks. Distinct. Unmistakable. Pain exploded through Drakia's torso. White-hot and immediate. His scales flashed orange, then drained to pale grey-pink. His digitigrade legs buckled. His tail went rigid. His arms clutched at his side. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. His lungs would not fill. The air would not come. He collapsed. His knees hit the mat first, then his shoulder. He curled on his side with both arms wrapped around his ribs. His tail wrapped around his own leg in an unconscious protective gesture. His scales continued draining of color until they were a sickly pale pink. Verdran moved across the mat. His sap veins flashed bright amber. Match concluded. Medical is inbound. Draker tried to breathe. Sharp pain lanced through his chest with every attempt. His heat vision flickered and blurred. His scales rippled between pale pink and even paler yellow. Through the haze of pain he saw Vexa standing above him. Her expression had not changed, still calm, still focused. She looked down at him for a moment. Then she walked toward the boundary to give the medical team space. Zafira's beak clicking echoed from the observation gallery. Rapid staccato. Her crest was visible through the window, standing straight up. Her feathers appeared to be vibrating. Drakia's scales flushed darker pink. Not from pain, from embarrassment, from humiliation. He had called her fragile. She had broken his ribs. The medical team arrived within seconds. 2 technicians with a floating gurney. Drakia remained curled on the mat with his scales still that sickly pale pink. Every breath sent fire through his ribs. His tail stayed wrapped tight around his own leg. One technician scanned him with a handheld device. The screen blinked blue, then red. 2 fractured ribs. Right side, clean breaks. They lifted him onto the gurney. The movement jostled his ribs. His scales flashed orange with fresh pain. His digitigrade legs kicked reflexively. Verdran stood at the boundary with his sap veins glowing amber. Report to me after medical clearance. They transported him through 2 corridors. The medical bay doors opened with a hiss. Sterile white lighting made his heat vision uncomfortable. The air smelled of antiseptic and something earthy. Myselix stood beside the examination table. The Mikthari medical officer had pale grey-white fuzzy skin with darker mottling patterns. Her black eyes with silver spore-like specks tracked his arrival. A small spore cloud puffed from her shoulder. Sweet, earthy scent filled the area. Vakshi cadet with rib fractures, one technician said. I can see that. Myselix moved toward the table. Transfer him carefully. They shifted him from gurney to table. The movement sent fresh pain through his side. His tail lashed and knocked a supply tray. Instruments clattered to the floor. Hold still. Myselix picked up the fallen instruments with both hands. More spores puffed from her arms. She activated the medical scanner. The arch-shaped device rotated over the table. Blue light swept across his torso. A holographic image of his ribcage appeared above the table. 2 ribs showed clear fracture lines with bright red indicators. Clean fractures, no displacement, very precise impact. She looked down at him. What hit you? Human, Draco managed, speaking hurt. His scales flushed darker pink. Myselix's mottling patterns shifted. A human broke 2 of your ribs? Elbow strike. Ah. More spores released. The scent shifted to something almost amused. That explains the precision. Human elbow strikes are remarkably effective. The radius and ulnar bones create a natural striking surface, very dense. When combined with proper body mechanics, they concentrate enormous force into a small area. Drakia's scales darkened further. She is half my size. Size is not the primary factor in striking power. My Selix moved to a supply cabinet. She pulled out regeneration foam and synthetic bone wrap. Humans have excellent skeletal density for their mass. The elbow joint allows force multiplication through leverage, and judging by the fracture pattern, she knew exactly where to strike. Between your armored scale plates, directly into the rib structure. His tail twitched. Pain shot through his side. He hissed, "Hold still." My Selix applied the regeneration foam to his side. The cool substance numbed the area immediately. His scales began to settle toward more normal colors. "How long for recovery?" he asked. "Approximately 10 cycles total before combat training resumes." My Selix worked methodically. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency despite the constant spore releases. "You are fortunate. She showed restraint." Drakia's scales rippled. "Restraint?" "Yes. Based on the impact force calculations, a full power strike from that angle would have broken at least 4 ribs, possibly 5, with potential for organ damage." My Selix wrapped the synthetic bone support around his torso. She pulled the strike, probably by 40%. His scales flushed dark red. She had held back. She had broken his ribs while holding back. "Also?" My Selix secured the bone wrap. More spores puffed from her arms. "You should know that human cadet Vexa is not ranked because she refuses evaluation matches. Instructor Verdrin has tried to convince her to rank for 3 cycles. She declines, but the senior instructors use her for advanced combat demonstrations. I have treated 17 cadets injured during training with her. You are the least damaged." Drake's scales went completely dark red. His tail pressed flat against the table. "You may sit up slowly." My Selix stepped back. "The wrap will support the ribs but avoid sudden movements." He pushed himself up carefully with both arms. The bone wrap held firm. He swung his digitrade legs off the table. His taloned feet touched the floor. "Avoid sparring. Avoid heavy lifting. Avoid tail strikes." My Selix handed him a small container. "Pain suppressors. 1 every 8 hours. Return in 3 cycles for scan." Drakia took the container. "Understood." He walked slowly toward the exit. His digigrade stance felt unsteady. Each step sent small protests from his wrapped ribs. His scales remained dark red. She had humiliated him, in front of witnesses. He had boasted about human fragility and then been broken by a human. His feet carried him back toward the training arena. He should rest, but he needed to see something first. The observation gallery entrance appeared on his left. He pushed through the door. The gallery was elevated above the arena floor. Dim, ambient lighting kept focus on the arena below. Several benches lined the space. Zephyra sat on the front bench. Her blue-silver feathers caught the dim light. Her curved beak pointed down toward the arena. Her feathered crest perked high. She did not turn as he entered, but her golden eyes shifted. Draker moved to the barrier. He looked down at the arena floor. Vexa was there. She stood facing a training drone. The drone was an advanced model. Floating spherical body with extending arms. Instructor Verdrin stood at the boundary with his sap veins glowing steady gold. "Begin." Verdrin's voice carried up to the gallery. The drone launched forward. Vexa ducked under its arms. She moved inside its reach. Her elbow drove up into its central sensor cluster. The drone sparked. Its arms retracted. It repositioned. Vexa followed. She did not wait. Her movements were fluid and continuous. Elbow, knee, palm strike. Each hit targeted a different sensor or joint. The drone tried to counter. She redirected them, used their momentum, turned their defenses into openings. The drone increased speed. Vexa matched it. The drone deployed additional arms. Vexa adapted. She moved through its attacks like water, always flowing, never where it expected. Her strikes continued landing with mechanical precision. Draker's scales rippled. This was not the same fighter he had faced. Or rather it was, but she was not holding back. This was actual combat speed, actual combat power. Vexa's elbow caught the drone's sensor cluster 3 times in rapid succession. The drone's systems failed. It dropped to the mat with a metallic clang. Smoke whisked from its joints. "Good," Virgin said. His vine hair swayed. "You are still favoring the right side. Address the balance." "Yes, instructor." Vexa was breathing harder now. Actual exertion showed. Sweat dampened her training suit, but she moved to center and reset her stance. Verdrin activated the second drone. Larger, more arms, heavier construction. Again, the match resumed. Drakir watched. His tail hung completely limp behind him. His scales had drained to a confused mix of pale pink and grey. She was terrifyingly fast. Every movement had purpose. No wasted motion, no hesitation. She was very gentle with you, Zephyra said. Her beak clicked once. Her crest tilted slightly. I counted 6 openings where she could have struck your throat, 9 where she could have struck your knee joints. She used none of them. His scales flushed darker. She put you down with minimum force to end the match, Zephyra continued. Her feathers ruffled slightly. Instructor Verdrin was testing whether you would adapt. You did not. You kept using the same approaches. Larger, stronger, faster. You never adjusted tactics. I know, Draco said quietly. Do you? Zephyra's beak clicked 3 times. Or do you know that you lost and you're embarrassed? He did not answer. Below them, Vexa destroyed the second drone. Her elbow strike to its central processor ended the match. The drone collapsed in a heap of sparking metal. She is beautiful when she fights, Zephyra said. Her golden eyes tracked Vexa's movements. Efficient, precise, very unlike Varkashi combat style. Verdrin called up to the gallery. Draker, attend! His scales flushed with surprise. Of course Verdrin had known he was watching. Drakir walked carefully to the gallery exit. Each step measured. His ribs protested, but the bone wrap held. He descended the stairs to the main floor. His digitigrade legs handled the steps awkwardly. His tail dragged behind him for balance. He entered the arena. Vexa stood near the boundary with a towel. She wiped sweat from her face and neck. Her black braid had loosened slightly. She looked over as he approached. Her expression remained neutral. Verdrin's sap veins pulsed once. Draker, what did you learn today? His scales rippled through several colors. That physical advantages do not guarantee victory. That I made assumptions about human capabilities. That I was wrong. Incomplete, Verdrin said. His vine hair swayed. You learned that you rely too heavily on natural attributes. You do not adapt. You do not read your opponent. You execute planned attacks regardless of effectiveness. This will get you killed in real combat. Draker's tail pressed against his own leg. Yes, instructor. Vexa. Verdrin turned to the human. Your assessment. She lowered the towel. He has good initial speed from his stance. Strong commitment to attacks. But he does not observe. He decides what to do before he does it. Does not adjust based on feedback. Each failed attack should have taught him something. It did not. The words were delivered without malice. Simple observation. Somehow that made them worse. His scales flushed darker red. However, Vexa continued, his recovery time is fast. After each failed attack, he reset quickly. That is trainable foundation. With proper observation skills, he could be effective. Verdrin's sap veins brightened slightly. Vexa, you will include Drakir in your technique training. When he is cleared for activity, you will teach him adaptive combat. Vexa's eyebrow raised slightly. Instructor, I do not run a training program. You do now. Verdrin's vine hair stiffened. You refuse to rank. You refuse evaluation matches. You will contribute to the academy by training others, starting with Drakir. Vexa looked at Drakir. Her gaze swept over his bandaged torso. His embarrassed scale colors, his lowered tail. Something shifted in her expression. Not quite a smile, but close. All right, she said. When you are cleared, we train together. I will show you what I did and why it worked. You will learn to see openings instead of just throwing attacks. Drakir's scales shifted. The dark red embarrassment began mixing with lighter crimson. I would appreciate that. Good. Vexa stepped closer. She extended her right hand. Training partners. He looked at her hand, then at her face. Her expression was serious but not hostile. She was offering an opportunity to learn. He extended his own hand. His scaled palm was twice the size of hers. They gripped. Her handshake was firm, controlled strength. One rule, Vexa said. When we train, you do exactly what I tell you. No arguments, no pride. You want to learn adaptive combat. You learn it my way. His scales rippled. Understood. Also, her expression shifted. That near smile appeared again. "I will go lighter than today, I promise." His scales flushed pale pink. "That was light. 40% power, maybe less." She picked up her towel. "Full power would have broken 4 ribs, possibly collapsed your lung. I was being very careful." His tail twitched. Pain shot through his ribs. He hissed. She noticed. Her eyes tracked to his wrapped side. "Does it hurt much?" "Manageable." "Good." She patted his shoulder. The pressure landed on the edge of his bone wrap. Pain spiked through his ribs. His scales flashed orange. His digitigrade legs wavered. He sucked air through his teeth. Her near smile became an actual smile, small but genuine. "Sorry. Forgot how fragile Varchi ribs are." His scales went through every color in sequence. Orange, pink, red, dark red, pale yellow. Back to crimson. His tail lashed once, then wrapped around his own leg again. Behind them, Zephyra's beak clicking echoed through the arena. Rapid staccato. Her crest was visible in the gallery window, standing straight up. Her whole body shook with laughter. Vexa walked toward the exit. She threw the towel over her shoulder. "Rest well. See you in 10 cycles." She disappeared through the door. Draker stood in the arena with his ribs screaming and his pride in ruins and his scales cycling through embarrassed colors. Verdrin watched him with those solid green eyes. "Instructor," Draker said quietly, "I was very stupid today." "Yes," Verdrin agreed. His vine hair swayed once. "But you survived your stupidity. You acknowledged it, and you accepted the opportunity to correct it. This is how warriors grow." Draker's scales settled into a darker crimson. Not pride. Acceptance, perhaps. "Go rest," Verdrin said. "Heal properly. When you return, we will rebuild your combat foundation, this time on observation and adaptation instead of assumptions." "Yes, instructor." Draker turned and walked slowly toward the exit. His digitigrade stance was careful. His tail dragged low. His ribs ached with every step. As he passed through the doorway, he heard Zephyra's beak clicking continue. The sound followed him down the corridor. He had called humans fragile. He had boasted about their weakness. Vexa had broken 2 of his ribs with 1 strike while holding back. His scales flushed dark red again. But underneath the embarrassment, something else grew. Curiosity, respect, and genuine desire to understand how she did what she did. In 10 cycles, they would train together. He would learn. He would adapt. And maybe eventually he would get through a sparring match without ending up in medical. Maybe. His ribs throbbed. The bone wrap pressed against his scales. It was going to be a long 10 cycles.